One of the most powerful Indigenous organisations in the country has called on the Coalition to find a new Minister for Indigenous Affairs because it believes Nigel Scullion has been a failure. But the Minister says the Northern Land Council's Joe Morrison is simply bitter over a submission he made on the federal government's remote jobs program.
The Kenby dancers are from across the Darwin Harbour, where they've endured a long fight to settle their land rights. As they open the National Native Title Conference in Darwin, their fight for land is palpably relevant.
Today, we have a Federal Indigenous Affairs Minister whose maiden speech to the Senate in 2001 savaged the Land Rights Act as ill-considered.
In a room of Indigenous leaders from around the country, the head of the body which represents top and traditional owners made this statement.
And I would implore Malcolm Turnbull, if his coalition government is returned on July the 2nd, to look among his caucus and find a new minister who has the interest of Indigenous people at heart.
We all know why Joe's cranky. I felt I was duty-bound to tell the entire Land Council that he hadn't even let them know that he was putting in a submission to a Senate inquiry that says what Joe thought.
At the meeting, Joe Morrison said the minister tried to isolate him from the council over his submission on the government's remote jobs program. Mr Morrison condemned Mr Scullion's push for township leases across communities in the Northern Territory. The head of the Unandiliaqua Land Council on Groot Island said that he regretted signing a township lease with the Commonwealth.
By that time I was under a lot of pressure, but going back and looking back in the past, I regret signing the township lease.
Mr Morrison told the conference Nigel Scullion has left out Aboriginal people in his plans to develop the North.
Well, there's no circumstances where any proposed development or any process whatsoever, traditional owners are not front and centre.
The Senator says should he and the Coalition be re-elected, the only portfolio he'd want is Indigenous Affairs. Avani Dias, ABC News.